Good morning, my name is Adam from Dodjit.com and this is your video briefing for the 14th of December 2009. Alright, for those of you that are following these videos, well, we did call it last week and we stated that the markets are going to probably consolidate a little bit or even drop a little bit lower. Now, what I want to show you is like this. We mentioned on the last video this trend line going lower on the dollar. And we stated that we had reached the top of this trend line and we were looking for a break basically. But what we did mention was that if the dollar was going to break higher, we were expecting a drop on the stock market. And basically if we just look at the indices, we're going to flip over to them in a second, we saw that the markets didn't drop lower. We consolidated all week, but they didn't drop lower. Now, this is pretty confusing because we've all become associated with, the correlation of stocks going higher, the dollar's going lower, and then when the dollar starts to rise a little bit, stocks normally tend to fall. And that's not what happened this week. And basically what happened was that the dollar continued to climb higher. We broke out this trend line here. If we just add on also our 50-day moving average, let's just add that on for a second, 50-day moving average. You can see, all of you, that basically we also broke above our 50-day moving average. Now, we haven't done this in, I think, maybe nearly a year. Roughly at the beginning of the year, we were trading above our 50-day moving average. Since then, we've been in this downtrend, just dropping lower. We've had this nice trend line going lower around here, and look what happened this week. We broke higher, the dollar really rallied higher. I think there was a lot of buying around this area as well. If we look at volume also, there was a lot of volume around this area. The way I do that is I tend to follow an ETF or a fund that tracks the US dollar index, and we saw a lot of volume around this area. Now, normally what happens when the dollar starts to rise, what happens to commodities? They fall. Now, if we flip over to the gold chart, we can see that gold acted exactly like it's meant to act when the dollar rises. Take a look at this. We just smashed lower. Now, we were talking about this last week. We were talking about also these trend lines going higher like that. We've now dropped back into our trend. We did have a minor trend also going up like that. We've dropped lower. We are now pulling back. We're pulling back. Look at this. This is an important level, the 50-day moving average. I tend to use this a lot. You can see that we've been trading around our 50-day moving average. We've been trading above it, each time coming close to it and then rallying higher. Now again, we're trading around our 50-day moving average. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to just add our Fibonacci levels to this, just to measure the extent of the current pullback. And you can see on the chart that we are still trading above our 61.8% Fibonacci level, which coincides with our 50-day moving average. So basically what I am expecting is a little bit of support around this area. It should coincide with our trend line, with our 50-day moving average, with our Fibonacci area. This is going to be a critical level with the 1,100 mark, and then we're going to have to see, because if we do receive some stabilization around this area, it might be a nice trade to take higher. Now, if you look at the dollar index, if we just flip back for a second, this could coincide with maybe a little bit more of a rally to roughly around the 76, 77 area. I don't think we're going to receive a massive rally without a pullback around this area, and if the dollar index does climb higher, we could see gold drop a little bit lower. Now, what's the problem? The problem is the stock market. Check this out. What I've now just brought up is the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Now, check this out. Last week we stated the following. We stated that we're probably going to drop down to this level around here, to the bottom of our consolidation. And also that coincides with our major trend line going higher. Now, what happened was that we didn't drop lower, we just really consolidated and eventually came towards this trend line, to our support level, to this cross around this area, and then we just bounced higher to our upper resistance level around this area. Now, think about it again. We've become accustomed to a negative correlation between the dollar index and the US stock market. The dollar index really soared higher this week, but stocks didn't drop. Now, what does this mean? What does this mean now that we're going forward? Basically, I'm not so sure now about this end of year rally. We're going to have to really see if this plays out. If we break higher, break above the 10,513 mark. If not, what I do see happening is I don't see a major fall, at least not at the moment, because the markets are holding at their highs. What I see is maybe some consolidation going on. And this consolidation could last for quite a while. And that's something you've got to take into consideration. If we just flip over to a few Forex pairs to just confirm what we're saying, you can see that on a few of the different pairs, we've been consolidating for quite a while. Check this out. We've got the Australian dollar against the US dollar. We can see consolidation around that area. Even though the dollar index is rising, it doesn't mean that the dollar on all the pairs are showing relative strength. If you look at this, we can see the Australian dollar against the US dollar. It's consolidating at the moment. If you look at the pound against the dollar, well, this is absolutely amazing. We've been consolidating already for numerous amounts of months. And check this out. We've got this type of trading range. We formed this false break around this area, also around this area around here. We've got minor support levels within this range, but you can obviously just look at this to see that we have been ranging for the last couple of months. Now, the US dollar against the Canadian dollar, we are also ranging on this pair, but we're ranging in this type of downtrend. You can see the upper resistance trend line around here and the lower support trend line around this area. The last month or so, also a complete range within this downtrend. So basically what that means is that the markets are consolidating, and we're receiving also consolidation on the Forex market despite relative strength on the US dollar, and we're seeing that on the dollar index. It doesn't mean that all the currency pairs are receiving a direction. And if also the dollar is strengthening at the moment and stocks aren't dropping, we could see that the markets continue to consolidate around the current levels while the dollar increases slightly. Now, that's something I want you to take into consideration going into the week ahead. Again, we've got important data coming out this week. We've got the US interest rate decision. We've got inflation data coming out, which will obviously give us a clearer picture. We're going to try to get a video out during the middle of this week as well. So we'll be able to keep you updated what's going on. There's probably going to be a little bit of volatility this week, especially on different currency pairs. You can check that out also on our website. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let's see how it all plays out. At the moment, for those of you that have got positions open, we've already been stating this for a while, that you should now have low exposure to this market. Obviously, we're at high levels. I hope you enjoyed the video. My name is Adam from Dodjit.com.